But anyways, let's get into the Mavs talk. This is the main talk, obviously, for this week. We all know what the Mavericks will be partaking in this week. That is the NBA Finals for the third time in franchise history. First time since 2011. It will be the first appearance for our Dallas savior, Luka Doncic, looking to bring us another ring to the DFW Metroplex. And so before we kind of get started on the series with the Celtics, did we finish the end of the Minnesota series, right, last week? We finished it, right? Was it?
I don't think
or
we
did we?
did.
It was after Game 4. It was after Game 4.
It was after they stayed alive.
It was Game 5.
It was after Game 5, I believe.
It was after Game 4. So we'll talk a little bit about Game 5 real quick. I mean, what a beatdown. What a beatdown. I believe they had how many points at halftime? Let me look at the box score real quick. Okay.
It felt like
69. Yeah, outscored them 69-40 in the first half. It did feel like Mavs and Suns in that first half. Luka and Kyrie both had 36 points each. Luka added 10 rebounds to that. And also, a couple good stats right here. Daniel Gafford plus 26 on the plus-minus led the team. Derek Lively, another great player, 16 for 16 in that series, 3 for 3 in this game, had 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks as well in only 25 minutes. This guy's 20. He's 20. Pretty crazy.
Ridiculous.
But what are your thoughts about Game 5? I mean, I don't know what to say other than, man, Minnesota went out sad.
$750,000 fine. Well worth it, I guess. We were all talking about this team tanking at the end of the season last year. And, Mark Cuban was a little bit sly. Of course, Jason Kidd was a little bit sly with it at the end of the season, kind of, evading those tanking questions. But look, it's well worth it now. I mean, you can say you're grateful for it now because it's the reason why we got Derek Lively. And having that 16 for 16 from the field, 20 years old, not even phased, going against someone like Rudy Gobert, who's been in the league for going on a decade now, I believe. He held his own the entire series. And I'll say this about Luka Doncic. When he is on, he is on. Not talking about, when he's slashing from the low post or when he's, hitting his nice little fadeaways from mid-range. When he is hitting it from the logo, from deep way downtown, from early in the game, it might just be over pretty much every time.
That's what he was doing, yeah.
I mean, so when you see games like that, it reminds me a lot of Suns Mavs Game 7 and 22. Just immediately, taking the soul almost of the team. Not like even giving them a chance. Not even any false hope in any quarter. Like, here I am. I'm going to take everything you have on your court, and I'm going to give you a chance. It just felt a lot like that game a few years ago. So when I see this Luka team, Luka and Kyrie squad, they just played so well, so cohesive. This is the game you want to have heading into an NBA Finals against a stout Boston Celtics team.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Mavs sucked the soul of Timberwolves with that game right there. You talk about souls. I just want to go with the soul analogy, man.
I might have gone too far with that, but it's all right. I mean, they kind of,
They
took the air out of that arena.
I mean, like you said, Luka was hitting logo threes in the first quarter as soon as the game started off the bat. I think he started the game with like six straight or something like that. It was 8 points, something like that. I mean, we all knew what type of game that was. On the Timberwolves side, I mean, it's pretty obvious that they quit. I mean, pretty much when they won Game 4, all they were talking about especially was like, I've never been swept in my career. I ain't want to get swept today. Like, it's pretty obvious that's all they cared about. And after that, they just go ahead. They phoned it in. So, I mean, it's not really much to say about this victory. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. It was just scary because, you just don't want it to be your team. Everyone did amazing. I think, actually, one thing I did like about this game, which I can say, is Kyrie had a bad performance in Game 4. He stepped up Game 5, especially in the first half. Usually we see Kyrie being a second half type player. Usually Luka does everything in the first. Luka had 20 first quarter points. Kyrie also had, I don't remember, I think it was like 15-ish second quarter points, which you don't usually see him do. So they definitely stepped up the whole game instead of just Kyrie just doing things in the third, fourth quarter. I wish he can continue that, especially with the momentum he has going to the series and the history behind this series for him. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Boston, not a very good place for Kyrie to go at this point of his career for games, especially an NBA Finals game. Hopefully that emotion doesn't overtake him in this game. I know he's grown a lot as a person. That's what he said in these last few years, and I hope that shows on the court against Boston in these series because it's going to be rough for him. It's going to be rough. It's going to be very toxic. But yeah, I mean, look, Luka is just so good, man. It's crazy, dude. That first quarter was phenomenal. I know y'all already talked about it, so I won't talk about it. But I mean, this is. I want to say real quick, this is what the series was gonna. Eventually, the Mavs were gonna win a series or win a game in this series. And it's glad to see that the Mavs shut up all of those people that are like, oh, you don't want the Wolves to win one. You don't want them to win one. They might take the whole series now. It's good to see us shut those people up very quickly in Game 5. Because, again, I think that a lot of people were giving the Wolves just these crazy chances to come back in the series when it just wasn't there. It wasn't there. A lot of people don't understand how good this Mavericks squad has been post-trade deadline. They're 26-6 or 27-6 with Jason Kidd now in the same lineups that they've been using in these playoffs. And they haven't lost 2 straight since March 5th, March 7th, something like that. Me and Courtney talked about that last week. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Heading into the Boston series, just real quick. Let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all like a vintage.
Wait, that was like a little Matrix there. Wait a minute.
Hold on, let me adjust real quick. This might give me a lot of dislikes, but I got a specific jersey on, man. This is crazy. This is so. But got a little Porzingis.
Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. What are we doing? You see that?
No, we can see. You don't say anything, Courtney. You don't say anything. You wore a.
You were Brett Favre. You turned your mic off. Cuss button.
I got the sensor, man. I got the sensor.
He cussed you out, Courtney.
You don't get the tone.
This is not about me. That was months ago, man. Let's talk about this Porzingis. This is blasphemy.
And we're going back to that whole Kyrie being back to Boston thing, but I'm really anxious to see how the Dallas crowd in the AAC receives KP. Is he going to get those boo birds every time he touches the ball?
He should.
I don't know, because he openly admitted on that podcast with Paul George, Podcast P, that he kind of quit on the Mavs team in that playoff run against the Clippers. Yeah. And I'm anxious to see how this crowd receives him, because they could be a little bit angry at him, or they could just be like, we've moved on. I don't know if they're going to do that.
I don't think there's anything really to be. I don't know. I mean, for me at least, I think the Porzingis stuff is all the drama is all overblown. I'm over it, obviously.
I've moved on.
I hope he succeeds, man. He seemed like a nice guy. I felt like the organization did him a little dirty as well. But I mean, there is a lot of effort, and injuries, problems with him and with the Mavericks. But overall, I think, it just didn't work out, and the Mavs did what they had to do. And, it's well. I mean, he's still playing his efficiency is basically about the same. He's playing about the same statistics that he would with Dallas. And I mean, obviously he's a 4th option on Boston, which makes it a lot easier for him. So, I mean, it's helping him succeed a little bit. His injuries are still happening. We'll see if he lasts the whole finals. I will say that, but I mean, looking into the Celtics series real quick, obviously the only 2 teams remaining, Boston won 64 wins this season. Also won 64 wins in a season, the Phoenix Suns in 2022.
TJ.
I might just cook here.
Don't do it.
But I do want to get y'all's reactions to the series. I want to get y'all's predictions real quick. Give me your predictions. It's okay if you say Celtics. I'm not going to judge you. But I do want to hear what y'all got.
I've been bought in from day one since that Clippers series. I told people, I said, if they beat the Clippers in this round 1 handily, they're making it to the Western Conference Finals. I didn't make a finals prediction at the time, but I also said that they're going to handle the Thunder once that series came around. I also said they were going to handle the Wolves. I'd rather have the Wolves than the Nuggets because we don't do well against Nikola Jokic. But against this Celtics squad, I just don't see that like killer mentality that makes me want to like fear them. I don't see that that kind of competitive fervor that makes me say like, man, we got to watch out for these guys. Even though they're a phenomenal team, obviously they finished number 1 with the record in the NBA. But for that reason, I think it's any man's ball game. I know that we have far fewer wins than they do, but we are the hottest team right now left in the playoffs right now. I think, in my opinion, we had the most impressive win so far of the playoffs, going against the number 1 defense and dismantling them in their house. And the Pacers, they had a good run, but they blew a lot of chances right there in that Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics. And a veteran Celtics team took advantage of that. And so with that in mind, I really think that it's going to be a very close series. I think it's going at least 6 games. I'm going to put Mavericks in 7. I think that they can eventually get it done on Boston's home floor because this Mavs team knows how to win on the road. Not saying that Boston can't win also on the road and that they can't win at their home arena either, but this Mavs team knows how take the Arrowhead Arena like we just saw against Minnesota, but they're not fazed by clutch moments like say the Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals. And so when you have guys like Luke and Kyrie who have just spearheaded this amazing Mavericks backcourt and have been amazing the past 3 minutes in each clutch time game, I think they're not going to be fazed at all by that Boston crowd. No matter what they try to say towards Kyrie, I think this team can eventually get it done on Boston's home floor in Game 7.
What you got, Courtney?
Well, take, man. I mean, like I said, coming into the season in general, I mean, I had Boston win the championship. I mean, when they made the trades, they got Drew, they got Kristaps. By the way, talking about KP for a second, the Mavs, like you said, they hold him. They sent him to Washington. That's how they did. You need to know how they thought about him. So I'm glad he's flourishing at least somewhere. But yeah, they got KP, they got Drew. They re-signed Derek White. I mean, they made these pieces, and I mean, it was pretty much primed. Like, okay, Boston's gonna win championship this year. I said, like, no matter what happens in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure I see Boston, and it happened. They're in the finals. What I did see is this Mavericks team doing what they did this year. I mean, Joe, you said they're the hardest team in the playoffs. I mean, I feel like since like mid like spring, they've been the hardest team in basketball. I mean, this team has been on a wild streak. They've been hot. Luka showed, how we feel about Luka's MVP run. And I think that they're finally facing the perfect. I think this is like the epitome of what a finals matchup should be. I think both of these teams are facing something that they haven't faced before. I think the Celtics are facing, in my personal opinion,
a healthy
strong,
team.
Yeah, strong,
Oh no!
well-rounded roster to where they don't have to just go and face Heat with no Jimmy Butler.
Aaron Nemhard.
Yeah, I don't even remember the team they faced. The Cavs.
The Cavs with no Donovan Mitchell, no Jared Allen.
Max Strus is their number 1 player now.
Like, come on, man. So fake.
And then I guess in another way, like the Mavs are facing a team I feel like the deepest team that they faced this whole playoff run, in my opinion. I mean, the thing that scares me the most is the 3-point attack, because Celtics are really good at the 3-point attack, and the Mavs have been really bad at 3-point attack. So it's ever flowing. So it's like on a game of runs, that scares me a little bit. It's going to be a defensive game for sure. I don't think that the Celtics have anyone to guard Luka. If they put JB on Luka, I feel like that hurts them in the long run because JB is going to be expending too much energy. And my personal prediction here that JT is once again going to choke in the finals, and he's going to have another 2022 finals choke, and he's going to do terrible. That's my personal opinion. I think he needs JB more than we realize. But like Joe said, I see this being a Game 7. I think that the Mavs are too good away. They haven't, I guess, had the equivalent of the Garden yet. But those Minnesota fans were rocking. That's their first finals, Western Conference Finals in 20 plus years. Like, they're rocking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they face the worst of the worst now. I think that
Oklahoma
this is not
City.
easy. Yeah, OKC obviously like that young team. OKC's always had a good playoff atmosphere. Clippers, you don't care about the Clippers, but I think that this is going to be a matchup that, and it's also my favorite thing about it is this whole year we've been complaining about that the Mavs need more mainstream attention. We finally got it, and I think that it's time to see if they go step up or they just go sit down. I see Game 7 win. Mavs, I agree with Joe. Game 7. Mavs gonna take 3 on the road.
3 on the road, pretty impressive. They are 7-2 on the road now in the postseason. Pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, so I'll go ahead and make my case. It's hard. I don't want to have us all say Mavs since they are not the favorites. My reasoning for the Celtics would be that, again, what Courtney talked about is their three-point attack. They're a very streaky team with shooting, and they are also very good on the perimeter. Derek White and Drew Holiday are some of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and it's going to really come down to if the Mavs can hit their open threes, which is 50-50. And so, it's going to come down to PJ Washington. It's going to come down to Derek Jones Jr. They're going to be wide open in the corner many times. Boston is a good team that limits threes, but when we get those open looks, they can't do anything about Luka. Luka's going to get open looks regardless. Whatever defense you're going to throw at him, he's going to find somebody who's open because you're going to be double teaming him regardless once he gets inside the 3-point line. You can't let him go 1v1 once he's inside the 3-point line. And so, the Celtics are a great team, man. But with that being said, any series is possible with Luka on your team.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I go by every time. Every time with the Mavericks. You can win any series with Luka Doncic on your roster. And now you add Kyrie Irving as well, and it's just crazy. I will say this about the Celtics that I find a little bit concerning about them. I know that they are supposed to be a clutch team. They have very good clutch field goal percentage. But if you look at their stats, in 3-point games, they're 6-7. In overtime, they're 2-4. The Mavericks over 500, and both of those, they're undefeated in overtime. They only played 2 games in overtime this season, but they went 2-0, and they also, I believe, were 5-2 in 3-point games. Now, I don't know how they've only had 7 games where it ends at 3 points, but that's what ESPN's telling me, and I'm going with it. And I think that the Mavericks, as if they can keep this series close, if they can keep the games close throughout the first 3 quarters, you're going to have the Mavs win the fourth quarter in majority of these games in the series, I believe, because this team is a better clutch team. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have shown that they can take turns in the fourth quarter going up against the defense and scoring and also providing open shots to their teammates. And also, I believe PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. have shown the clutch factor in these fourth quarter moments to hit those big shots that they have been hitting in these playoffs so far. And so I really like the Mavs if they can keep it close within the first 3 quarters. I really like it. I think that they win the fourth quarter a lot. What do you want to say, Joe?
I got 2 final points. My first one was, I don't know how this Mavericks team is going to guard perimeter defense and mainly in the front court because Lively and Gafford haven't had to do much, 3-point defense, being that the bigs that they have guarded have been Zubats. It's been Chet Holmgren, I guess. That's one big one. But at least in the last series, they didn't have to worry about Rudy Gobert as much. And Karl-Anthony Towns was kind of throwing up a lot of bricks. He wasn't, shooting as efficiently as he usually would. But with Al Horford, even at his old age right now, he is still playing very good. And Kristaps Porzingis is coming back. We know he can be a sniper from 3-point range as well. So I'm anxious to see what this Mavericks perimeter defense can do with their front court players. But also, I made this take, and I'm interested to see what y'all say and how y'all respond to it. And I said that this series has potential to be the greatest series of this new millennium. Of the 2000s, of the 2010s, of the 2020s, with the storylines, with the players, with the franchises themselves, with the fan bases that are, big sports markets. What do you think about that? Does this series have potential to be the greatest finals of the new millennium? What do you think?
It's pretty hard. That's pretty hard. But you got the best player in the league, which is something that you need to qualify for that. And the Mavs have that. And you also have the best team in the league. So it makes sense. They could go all the way. 2016 will always be one of the best finals ever, and we all know that. But you know what, Joe? There's not a lot of takes that I agree with from you, but I'll agree with you here. I'll agree with you here.
I can see it.
Hey, don't forget the White Power revenge storyline, all right?
He's
for
sure.
Drafted Boston Celtic and the Rajon Rondo deal, if you don't know. Longest tenured Maverick now, the White Power.
Crazy, man. Someone said who would be the most wacky finals MVP, and if the White Power somehow got minutes, but I would think it'd be Tim Hardaway that'd be the most wacky finals MVP. Wouldn't you think that?
I mean,
who would be the most ridiculous finals MVP in this series for either squad?
Well, for people that actually play.
Yeah, for people that actually play.
I would say if they give it if the Celtics win and they give it to Derek Brown because of defense or something, I'm gonna lose it.
You mean Derek White?
Derek White, yeah, sorry.
Nah, I'd be even more mad to get to Al Horford or something.
Al Horford would be crazy. Nasty, bro. That being on the Wikipedia page forever would just be disgusting. Al Horford finals MVP.
That's a good point that this big rotation that the Lively and Gafford are about to face is going to be different than what they have faced. And I was going to talk about that. I mean, look, you go into that Minnesota series and, it's cool to have Lively, but you look at Minnesota, they got 3 Derek Lively's, They got more than just one Derek Lively. And even better at that point. And so they dominated the paint. They dominated it. And now you're going to go against a big man rotation that includes Al Horford starting. And also, I believe, who's the center? Well, Porzingis.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't know why I couldn't think of Porzingis for some reason. I literally have his jersey on. But I mean, it's completely different. These two players aren't known for being tough enforcers inside the paint. Al Horford may be back in his prime. Porzingis may be back in his prime, but these people aren't seen as huge paint protectors. But with that being said, Boston still has been one of the best teams in the paint. They're one of the best in every single stat. And so it's going to be interesting. I did not see Derek Lively and Gafford going off like they did against Minnesota. And now they got opponents that, stretch the floor a little bit more, but aren't nearly as skilled as Gobert and Cat. So, going to be interesting.
I would say I think it definitely comes to what Maxi Kleber is going to bring to the table. For sure. I think if Maxi, because, I think you said this last week, TJ, a lot of people just see a white European man and they don't think he can play defense. Maxi Kleber actually is he's a decent defender. He could play defense.
Good rim protector.
Good rim protector. I think if he can minimize Kristaps, then I think that they'll do a lot better than people say they do. Obviously, his shot. I didn't get to watch Game 5 too much because I was out. I was out in Dallas. So I didn't get to see what he was doing in Game 5. I didn't know if that shoulder was still bothering him too much or not. But I hope that because, like you said, they're not gonna get too physical, so maybe his body won't get put to too much punishment. But if Maxi Kleber can have a positive impact on defense, and you're talking about PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. making threes, Maxi Kleber also needs to be a person to make his threes, please.
Please.
I think Maxi's going to be the X factor in the series, in my opinion.
And I will say, man, I'll leave this be my last thought of it, but the pressure is on the Boston Celtics. I 100%. You can say a little bit with the Dallas Mavericks. I really think the pressure is on them. They had the preseason hype. People gave up on Luka and Kyrie last year, and for some good reason at times because, after that trade, they had a little bit of hiccups and they had a little bit of potential shown here and there, but towards the end of the season, it's just a lot of close losses and clutch time that made people lose a lot of hope. So with that being said, Boston had the preseason hype. They obviously showed why they were worth the hype all the way through the regular season, being the number one team. And then obviously through the playoffs, I mean, they've only lost, I believe, 2 games now. So they have the best playoff record as it stands. Some wins you could say were not as impressive as others, but anyways, they still have the playoff record that is the best left in the league right now between us and them. So I really think the pressure is on them. Jason Tatum obviously has a lot of pressure on him because people seem to already dislike him and discount him, even though he's already been in 7 Eastern Conference Finals in his career, 2 NBA Finals appearances, in such a short career thus far. And he's been in the league since he was 19 years old. He was only 19 at one point.
2019.
But the pressure, I believe, is completely on them, not at all the Dallas Mavericks.
If he would have won a finals when he was 19, 20, 21, he would have been the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA. He would have been the Aaron Rodgers.
The early championship win and then fizzling out with close playoff losses towards the end of his career and every single year after that. I see what you're cooking there.
We'll see what I'm cooking up here. But we are going to move on. The good news is that the finals will start tonight when this video is uploaded. Can't wait. We are itching for these finals. And also, no matter what, since the finals is going to take 2 rest days per game, we're going to have a series no matter what next week to talk about. It won't be a sweep or a win in 5 kind of situation. So good to know that.